Hey everybody, we're back with part 2 of our Honda line HomeLink accessory installation, which is your nice garage door, automatic door button openers to let you get in and out of your garage without having to carry a remote key fob. If you've seen part 1, you'll see that we disassembled the bike to this present state that it's in here. You can kind of take a scan of that. This is going to be what's required. Then there's in part 1, we show you how to disassemble this control module and change out these 2 buttons. And so that console will go back, and then the front of the bike can start going back together. Here in the back, so I'm gonna kind of talk you through where we got to so far. This was by far more difficult than the front part of the bike. Honda has some instructions in there that we can't figure out why they had you do. They told you to remove this cover, this whole right side of the trunk. We weren't able to figure out why they want you to do that. We did remove the 4 saddlebag bags, and then we just keep this plate around here while we're working on shocks to help us get preload motor out. But you can find an object in your house to kind of keep your saddlebag away and just kind of place it, once you pull the saddlebag away, place it away to give yourself room to keep your hand in there. You can set it anywhere, it feels good on there so you don't leave a scratch on the bike. Then this is the saddlebag latch module, mechanism, assembly, everything. There's a bunch going on in there. It is secured up into the top of the right bag where you normally would not see it. Inside here, let me grab this screwdriver. You're going to find 4 screws here, and then kind of corresponding back inside, there's one there, and I think that's not the one, that's the one right there. So 4 screws holding that assembly on. It does not just readily come down. It's a little bit of a Rubik's Cube, for lack of a better explanation. You're going to have to work with it, and I don't have a great simple explanation as the 1, 2, 3, dip this, pull that. Every time I've dealt with it, it's been kind of frustrating. And we got another light. That one's low. So anyway, once you do wiggle this light down, get that panel started down, your trunk release latch, you're going to have to break loose from the system. When it's out here, it's plumbed through. You're going to pull it off its peg, and as this assembly kind of starts working down, it'll start pulling back through the assembly. We were able to first get it kind of low like this. Then the step is to remove your antenna. There's a single screw in it back here, and that you remove, goes right there, and it snaps up here towards the front. So that just kind of snaps out of that pocket there like that. So it's in this snap, there's the screw, you just pop it up, that comes out of the way. Now you can see where the cable lock was. You pop the head of it up, it'll slide on back. There's one more cable holder back here, and then you can kind of get it completely out of the way. You know what I'm thinking is that thing's got to go under there. I wonder if it'll go through. All right, it did. Okay, so now we've got this ready to prepare the module for the HomeLink. You're going to have to get this to where you can turn this plate all the way around, because this is the reason we're doing all this is we need to screw this little box onto this plate here. The screws, of course, face backwards and are not oriented in any fashion where you can easily access them. So you take this whole plate loose and all of that. You get it turned around to where you can thread in those 2 screws facing from this direction to get it to mount it into place. Now, that's all the easy part. Here's where the fun starts, and it's trying to route in a wiring harness. It's about this long. So there's a plug here, a hole. You're going to pluck the blind rubber plug out of its hole, and now you have a hole headed into the bike. The harness will only feed from this direction back towards the saddlebag. It would be easier if it went this way, but unfortunately the connector is too big to pass through the hole. So you have to start this way and feed through the frame. We found this worked best with 2 people. You may not have that luxury. If you don't have that luxury, you're going to probably end up having to take the time, go ahead and do everything that's required to get the right saddlebag off of the bike. So that's quite a bit more time. But with a second person helping you, you can kind of get this going. So we got a poker I can point with. So this harness, let's see. If you'll hand me that camera. Harness is here, and harness is going back through here, back down into there, and into this hole in the saddlebag. And I'll be honest, it's hard to see what's going on here because it's such a tight quarters. I will recommend highly this pocket of electrical connectors that tucks into this pocket here. Lift that up, undo these 3 connectors because the wires are very tight, and it'll give you some room to see the wire as you're passing it back through this area, back through that area to try and get it to go down into the saddlebag. Now, once you get it routed, snaked back there, the next problem you run into is trying to get this block connector. Actually, will you take the camera back? All right. You're trying to get this block connector, which is oriented this way, to turn this corner and come into this hole. So with a second person kind of from behind, putting a little pressure on the connector, we got it to right where it was near the hole. Then we're able to reach through with some angled needle nose pliers, straight ones would work, and kind of grab a hold of it and slowly kind of walk it into the saddlebag. Once we got it through, we were able to pull it, and then the next round of fun starts. So one of the hardest parts of this, believe it or not, is getting the waterproof grommet on. And let me be clear about this. The reason this is kind of a pain in the ass is this saves an hour and a half what we're doing. I'm complaining it's a pain in the ass, but if I had to go ahead and tear the whole trunk apart and take the saddlebag off and put it on a workbench just so I could poke a grommet in with my thumb, that's another hour and a half. So with Jacob's help, he just put pressure behind the grommet. He was able to get his hand in there, up in there, put pressure on the grommet, and then from the inside, the grommet is glued and sealed to the wiring harness. So I could put gentle pressure on the harness pulling on it, and then we just got one side of it started, and using a little tiny flat blade, I just went around and started it, and then using my fingertip and rolled it all the way around until we got the grommet to pop cleanly all the way through. After you do that, you want to visually inspect it, make sure it's nice and clean and flush, because this is the watertight seal for the saddlebag. All right, so now we've got that, and in theory, we're going to do some assembly from here. So the connector snaps into place. Next step is to get the cable through. So let's see how that works, because now the home link's over the top of it. They didn't mention this level of aggravation in the manual. So some of our frustration you get to watch as we learn. So just as is probably obvious, we don't practice these things because we want you to see what it's going to be like for you to attempt to do it yourself at home. So I'm pulling on this pretty good. All right. You can shine that light. You want to shine that light in there, Jacob? All right. Okay. So I'm still not anywhere near where I need to be. Okay, because this is going to have to go below everything. All right, hold this. We're going to let this back out. Pull that back out. It has to pass under every wire in there. Okay. Back under the home link. Back through into the bike. Right, let's try our pliers again. Put some pressure there. Move that to the side. Come on. Actually, let's start here. So the problem is the cable is fixed to the back of the saddlebag, and then we're trying to move this console in relation to it. All right, we're getting much warmer. Cable goes under that hook. That goes through that hole. I'll be honest, it's so tight, I can't get it to come forward. It needs to come forward another 1/2 of an inch. Let me see how, huh? Let's put this into its pocket. Oh, I won't be able to see then. I'll tell you what, we're going to hit pause for 1 moment until we get this cable figured out, and we'll come right back. All right, so we're back from our quick video edit. We were able to get a hold of the cable finally and just pull on it a little bit harder to get it. If you see, it's now snapped down into its holder. Back in here, where the tip of the screwdriver is, it's under a loop there, a cable retaining loop. That's snapped in place, and the cable itself just goes on that tit, which you're used to seeing from inside your saddlebag. Next step is to put the antenna back. So, and there is only one screw, as I noted in the rear. It looks like there's something up here, but that's not part of it. So the hole is in a very awkward place. I need some light here. Yeah, you'll need a helper or a little helmet light, a headlight from, oh, you can get a Home Depot. A strap light will be beneficial. All right, so that's in place. All right, now what we're not going to show you is the next period of fighting with this to get it back in place, because as I told you, it's a Rubik's Cube. I'm not going to get it up here fast. It's going to take a little time. This is independent of whether you take the saddlebag on or off the bike. This is going to be a real problem. So take your time and work your way in slowly. As far as the connection goes, reconnect the stuff you took apart. Like I mentioned, these made it much easier to take those 3 apart. Where you're going for the connection for the home link, right here, pull this boot back. There's a gray protective dummy plug in it. You're just going to pull that out, and you're done with that forever. You're going to snap the home link harness into the bike, and then we'll tuck this and cable it, nicely. We're going to hide it down in there. There's a little pocket in the frame for it to go. And on this, the home link cable, remember, should be all inside of the frame until it passes through back to the saddlebag. All right, so from there, all you have to do is reassemble your entire motorcycle, and then hopefully, when you push this button, you can program it to your garage door and get your garage door to open nicely. So. This is getting one of those accessories that, for $215 and what's undoubtedly $400 to $500 in installation labor, you're going to be hard pressed to not just go buy the small little genie button for your garage door opener and keep that somewhere on the bike. I would be hard pressed to invest this $500, and I'm a pretty picky guy. So again, it would only make sense to have this accessory installed while you're doing everything else. So if you wanted the power amplifier and the upgraded stereo while this saddlebag's all torn apart and the bike's ripped to shreds, and things like the USB cords and the 3.5mm auxiliary plug and the XM antenna, all that stuff, just have it all done while the bike's torn apart, and to try and save some money. And also negotiate this with your dealer, because each one of those prices, when they give you a flat rate price to install the XM antenna, that assumes that he started with a fully assembled bike, tore it completely down to the ground, and put it all the way back together. And then the next price for doing home link is take a complete bike, tear it all the way apart, put it all the way back together. So there's hours and hours of overlapping labor that you should not be charged by your dealer. If you have a good dealer, make sure you talk to them about this, know all the accessories, and negotiate a fair price to get your installation done and your upgrades done on your GoldWing. So, all right, this is Max. If you like this video, please share. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel.